Hey there guys, it's Metro, and today we are going to do something that I like to do at the end of expansions. Kind of sit down and talk about 5 things that you're going to miss about the expansion, right? Things that aren't going with us in the next expansion. Now usually I do 5 things that we're not going to miss as well, but since WoD had a pretty big negative stigma to it, I like to just stick to these positive ones, all right? Just to kind of show that no matter how bad the expansion was, there was still things that I actually really enjoyed. So I'd love to see your comments about this and below. Feel free to list, 5 things that you missed, and be serious about it, guys. Every expansion is good and bad in some ways. This one obviously had a lot more things wrong with it than many people expected, but that does not mean that there was not parts that you enjoyed, all right? So anyway, let's get right into it, all right? Now, number 5 on this list is got to be utility, all right? There is a lot change in utility. In fact, this image I have here is pretty indicative of that. That's a list of all the things that you can dark sim in a challenge mode, and I think the list continues to go down. So it's interesting, mirror blades, dark simulacrum, glyph of reflective totem. These things, it almost seems like Blizzard was taunting them with us, taunting us with them. It was like, here, you could do these things only in 5-mans. It was like to make 5-man content easier, out in the world content a little bit easier, stuff like that. But they were never really going anywhere with them. And I did misspeak when I made the previous top 5 video about, AG being gone, Ancestral Guidance being gone. It is only gone from Enhance. Elemental still has it, so it was very strong in Mop for Elemental, so maybe it'll still be strong in WoD or in a Legion for Elemental, but most utility, especially like these types of utility, is indeed gone, and I'm definitely going to miss it. The dungeon concept, the usage of it in general is what I'm going to miss. All right, so that's my number 5. Now, number 4 I have is Draenor in general. Okay, I'm talking about the Warlords. I'm talking about the landscape. I mean, look at that. Look at that picture right there. You know what I mean? That's the Temple of Karabor. It was so cool coming back and seeing some of these things. I cannot say enough how excited I was, and still am really, to see how Draenor looked and developed before the Outland catastrophe, right? Like before it was completely destroyed. It's gorgeous, man. It really is. And especially with the up-resed models of all the stuff out there, we got the Karabor Temple, we got Nagrand, even Bladespire Hold. The expansion itself, Draenor, not the best, but the landscape and, it's just going back and seeing, like, the Warlords, seeing Blackhand. Blackhand was really cool looking. All that stuff felt really cool. The Iron Horde, it felt really cool. It just, it just wasn't really done properly, but the actual theme of Draenor and the actual landscape, I loved it. I really did. So then number 3 on my list here is gold making. All right, now if you guys aren't aware, gold making is getting nerfed heavily. You see that image there, a full page of gold. That's not going to happen in Legion. So I am definitely going to miss this. I made a lot of gold this expansion. Maybe this isn't necessarily a good thing. Maybe this is another fault the game had. But yeah, I made a lot of gold this expansion passively. We were able to keep the guild bank topped up at gold cap because of it. And then also the 25-man heroic cata raids. Those are also getting nerfed. But they were given a lot of gold, getting like people saying they're getting almost 5K a run, which is just obviously insane for a weekly and stuff like that. So I think a lot of people, I only did this on 1 or 2 characters, but I know a lot of people in my guild, 6, 7, 8 characters, man. It was insane. So yeah, you could have probably easily made gold cap just from the garrison, these missions. So I'm gonna miss that. I did enjoy that gold, but I think Legion, the gold making in Legion is gonna be way more engaging, a little bit less passive, and hopefully better overall. So now number 2 on my list is definitely the legendary ring. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit something about this ring. A lot of people I see looking back at this ring saying things like, it's just general confusion, like, oh, that was a really shitty legendary. I hated that. There was nothing legendary about it, all right? The quest line, they're basically talking about the acquisition, saying things like, oh, man, getting Thunder Fury, that was legendary, right? Oh, getting any legendary from TBC or under was legendary. That was legendary. Well, the difference in my eyes here is that the acquisition of those items was indeed legendary. And, of course, having them was indeed legendary. Like especially the Warglaives, those were legend. They did a lot of damage. You were a boss when you had those. But even those items did not stand up to what this ring made our characters able to do, okay? I personally enjoyed the acquisition. I have every video is on the Ace Games channel. I made an entire series going through the entire legendary acquisition, which I hope to continue in this expansion, but they're not going to be doing a legendary quest line, it looks like. So I guess that series is over. But yeah, the actual rings, guys, they were really, really, really potent, and I don't know how anybody could be dissatisfied with that. It changed the way we played, changed the way I played as a healer, changed the way the raid played as a team. Okay, for example, any time that you can maximize this ring, you can gain incredible benefits from it. If you guys haven't done Mythic Archimond, the ring has basically changed the strategy for that fight. Right, the people did it completely, not even remotely similar to how people do it now. Part of that is the gear upgrades as well, but it's also the ring. The gear upgrades just make the ring even stronger. You basically pop everything on the pole. The ring explodes for like 10% of this boss's health, right? And then you pop it again when it's up later, when there's tons of ads. You do all kinds of AoE to the ads. The ads die. You get extra damage into the ring, and then the ring explodes on the boss for another, 8% of the boss's health. So that's really impactful, man. I'd say that is a legendary right there, man. That is fucking legendary. And then healing as well. Yeah, it's insane. There's some times where you pop that ring and get, a few 100k absorb on the whole raid, and that's really useful. And you play that well, you've played really skillfully with this item. I am going to miss this item wholeheartedly. I'm going to miss this item because it changed the way we approached encounters. It may have been too strong, but it was a legendary, man. That's what it was. The only thing that wasn't legendary about it, I think that most people would agree with, is that everybody had to have it. Like, it was just mandatory, because the more people that had it, the more it did. Like, the damage that you did if you didn't have the legendary did not go into the legendary. So that was kind of a big deal. But that's my number 2, okay? And now my number 1, all right? I think anybody who knows me knows this is number 1. I just can't get around putting this at number 1. I tried, but it's just not possible. It's challenge modes, all right? I absolutely love dungeon content, as you can tell if you've been watching this channel for more than one day. Dungeon content is my favorite stuff to do. I love raiding. I love raiding a lot. I love leading raids. I love being part of a raid team. But if raiding was, pugging, I would never do it compared to challenge modes. I'd happily do challenge modes with anybody. Pug them, whatever. Teach people to do them, whatever. I love them. I absolutely love 5-man content. And like the number 1 or the number 5 thing on this list kind of hinted towards, I kind of like the, around the corner kind of stuff that you would do to complete them. It's like dark simming, death gripping, weird skips with invis pots, things like that. That's really what a challenge mode is to me. And if you guys aren't aware, they're doing the Mythic Plus and forward on that. Well, I've made a few videos on that on the channel, so I would definitely take a look at Mythic Plus if you guys are interested in that. But they're wholly different, and they're already, the way the mob count is structured. We've already done some Mythic Plus mob counts, and you actually, you can't skip anything. In fact, there's an Thalarian's Lair is the one, the Deathwing's Lair in Legion, that there's a lot of things you can skip when you're doing it normally. And if you skip all of them, you are in trouble. You have to go back and get mobs. And we barely completed it because there's no actual way back. We got lucky, actually. Like, if we didn't get the mob count from the last mob that was available that we wouldn't have pulled, we couldn't complete the dungeon. I think we would have had to leave and fly back. I'm not sure how that would even work. But so yeah, that's a real big change. But what they're trying to do with the new equivalent with the Mythic Plus is that they're trying to make dungeons again, instead of this weird, run over here, guys, stand on this weird pillar and you could avoid all the mechanics and the mobs will run by us. Or how about this, intentionally dying to reset lust. When you die, lust does not reset anymore, guys. In 5-mans, maybe it does in raids, but we noticed that the other day when we were doing Halls of Valor, because there was actually a thing you could jump off in Halls of Valor to instantly go back to the beginning of the dungeon, and then you could mount up, so it was actually really fast to do this. But they put an invisible wall there, so you can't jump off in Mythic Plus, and maybe even all difficulties. So then we had to just pull mobs and die, and which was longer, obviously. But we didn't even get Lust reset when we did that. So it's like, yeah, they've really gone away from all of this. The challenge mode, obviously, the timer and the scaling. The timer was never really my favorite thing. Beating the timer was kind of cool, but the scaling was my favorite thing, actually, because it allowed me to make all these challenge mode alts. Alts that I could actually be in best in slot in on challenge modes, but never have to worry about getting the legendary ring and, grinding out a full set of gear like a regular raiding character would. It allowed me to put, about a week and a half into these characters, gearing them up from Baleful, getting full best in slot as the best stuff you can get, buying the scabbard, the trinkets, whatever, and getting everything set up. And I can walk in here and I was a god, man. I could compete with anybody. I can play it the best I can. It felt like a really interesting thing to me. Like, it felt like a good way to practice characters because you can't do that in raids. You don't know how good you are until you're actually geared. And especially if you're coming into it late, like if you're just trying to do raids now, you're under geared. So you're going to underperform. You're going to be less damaged than people who are geared. But in challenge modes, everybody's the same. Everybody's the same except if they're not prepared, right? So that's the difference. I was prepared. I put minimal preparation in. Got plenty of flasks, potions. I'd pre-pot every other pull. I'd be calling out pre-pots. Like, stuff like that was really fun. I really love dungeons for that reason, guys. So that's my number one, my top 5. Like I said, there's always something, man. Always something that I can enjoy. Cataclysm was just as bad for me. Honestly, I think I like WoD better than Cataclysm. But I still was able to enjoy things in Cataclysm. I was still able to enjoy things in Warlords of Draenor, guys. So if you have the time, I would really appreciate you contributing to this discussion. It'd be really fun to see 5 things that you liked. All right, and please take it serious, all right? I know WoD was a joke. I know it was really bad, to be honest. Like, they cut so much and underdelivered so much, but it's still World of Warcraft, right? It's not just Warlords of Draenor. There's still stuff that you can enjoy. So let me know what they were for you. And otherwise, see you guys in some more Legion videos.